I'm Jon Edgell from Morrision Foerster. I'm a partner in the law firm. Basically do nothing but outsourcing, and pretty much all of my work is, or a lot of my work is on the offshoring side of things as well. So probably sort of 50-50 offshore and then domestic outsourcing.
Okay, so we've been talking, I suppose, specifically about offshoring today, or as a main focus, and across a lot of different jurisdictions and different geographic regions. What are your views on the conversation so far, or is there anything specific about the cross-border litigation that we were talking about earlier that's come up?
I think that actually, probably from my point of view, certainly looking at India as a base, there was a lot more concern around that sort of 5 or 6 years ago, and so when organisations were starting to do their offshoring deals 5 or 6 years ago, they'd really look at the local jurisdiction, look at the regulatory regime, etc., etc. I think now they sort of feel as if they need much less hand-holding, that they trust what's going on, particularly in India, that there's not really that sort of concern. It's much more about vendor selection, who they're going to use, what the deal looks like, rather than this sort of fear and concern about what's going on in India itself. Okay,
so you think that India, certainly then, whereas a few years ago people were talking about the legal system in India as a definite problem, there was all those, it takes you 100 years for a case to come to court,
exactly,
and that kind of thing, yeah. Has that concern now shifted to places like China then?
Personally, again, from the legal side of things, I think that we are now with China now where we were 5 or 6 years ago with India. So everyone is concerned about the enforcement of IP, as we discussed this morning, about whether you can genuinely do business there in a sort of a normal fashion. And I think it just takes a few more deals, a few more organisations, big deals, a few more organisations to get more comfortable with it, to suddenly realise actually this isn't such an alien place after all. We really do just want to do good deals, make money out of these jurisdictions, or that's what they want to make from us. And that's how that sort of the volumes will start increasing more and more, I think.
So you don't think that there's I suppose India's had some sort of inherent advantage from being a part of the Commonwealth and adopting the sort of English law and that. You think that basically the market will win out, and the Chinese want to do international business, they'll make sure it works?
I think that's absolutely right. I think also it's very easy to sort of think that you only have these sort of data breaches, which is one of the biggest concerns at the moment. You only have these in these overseas jurisdictions. If you look at the way, because there's been so much sort of customer concern quite rightly around that, you look at some of the systems that are in place, again in India, are far more robust than they are in the UK, which is why so many of the sort of the data breaches that you've seen recently are actually coming out of the UK and the US and other places in Europe, and possibly Hong Kong and Asia. There's been quite a few, but they're coming out of sort of some of the more traditional jurisdictions, not necessarily the Indias and the Chinas of this world.
Yeah. So certainly some of those have been government-related data in the UK, where it's been outsourced.
To a UK organisation?
UK-based courier company, for example, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, and do you think that that's probably one of the most serious issues at the moment then? The data breaches that are hitting the media. How are you finding people exploring offshoring at the moment? There's a lot of talk about possible recession and business not, people taking longer to make a decision on offshoring. So what's your experience of the market at present?
I'm finding the market booming at the moment. I think that the types of deals are becoming a little bit different, so they are done possibly in a quicker, dirtier fashion. They're probably done with much more of a drive to save money than some of the other additional sort of added value services that you might see.
Yeah.
But if anything, I see an increase in the speed of the market at the moment rather than a slowing down.
So there's perhaps less talk of the strategic offshoring and more about tactical, the value that they can get from it.
Yeah, much more sort of tactical at the moment, I think.
Yeah, but definitely not slow down in the market then. In fact, it's actually booming.
Yeah. I think maybe, again, from our side of things, some of the amount of legal help and input that's required is sometimes less, because it's now not such a new frontier, and I'm expecting to see that on the China side of things and other jurisdictions, but not so much on the India side.